Hello, and thanks for tuning in. You're watching Ask BQ, a show where all your stock market related queries get answered. I'm Smriti Chaudhary, and with me is Alex Mathew. Before we begin, let me remind you that you can send in all your queries through any of our social media channels or through the WhatsApp number on the screen right now, or even through the YouTube live chat. Now, let me introduce you to our guests for today. We have with us Mr. Saurabh Jain, who is the Equity Head for Research at SMC Global Securities, and Jayesh Bhanushali, Lead Research at IIFL Securities. Welcome and thank you for taking the time out. Before we jump into the questions, Alex, what is the market focusing on today?
Well, let's look at the screen right now. We've started lower for the benchmark index, and you have the Nifty 50 that's trading very close to that 19,500 mark off the low point of the day. At some point, we actually dipped below that 19,500 mark. And one of the packs that has been under pressure today is the auto pack as a whole. We are starting after a long weekend, and quite a few of these companies have reported their wholesale numbers or the dispatch numbers for the month gone by, that is September. And there are a few key disappointments here. So, gentlemen, before we kickstart the queries, and by the way, viewers, if you have questions on any one of these auto stocks, please do send them in. Saurabh, I'll start with you. You've seen some of these numbers. I looked at the Eicher Motors numbers. The dispatches are lower. I looked at Ashok Leyland on the other end of the spectrum, and CV sales are looking good, both Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland. And so Ashok Leyland, perhaps one of the exceptions to the rule, really, from that auto pack gaining ground today. What's your reading of the latest numbers ahead of the festive sales?
I think if you see in the whole, I think the numbers looking very good. I mean, in the passenger vehicle segment, we have seen highest number of sales for the month of September. Commercial vehicle segment is going good. See, there is a kind of a premiumization is also happening in the industry, and lot of players are venturing into the premium side of the market. For example, in the case of Eicher Motor, maybe it is a result of Hero Motor, Bajaj Auto, venturing into the premium side of the market to garner the share which Eicher boasts of. So I think overall, if you look at the industry, I think the industry is doing well. If you see the number as a whole for the 6 month, for the first half of the fiscal, I think the industry is putting up a good show, and they have expectation that the festive season will also go good for the industry.
Thanks. Let's take a technical view on this. So, Bhanushali, please tell us, what are the charts showing?
See, if you see Ashok Leyland, definitely today we have seen some uptick. But overall, if you see, there is a strong resistance that is placed around 190. So as long as it trades below 190, I believe people would be trying to book profits or selling this stock. And I believe that going forward also, one can see a downside up to 178. So technically, I believe it is a sell on rise kind of a story at the moment for the October series.
Okay, fair enough. We didn't ask sort of what are your top picks from the auto space, and would you recommend getting into any one of these?
I think Maruti is one of our top pick. I think the company is actually entering into the more of the premium side of the market, launching more MPVs. And if you see in the last few months, they have also captured more market share from 40 to 41%, or the highest sales ever, and the margins are getting stabilized. The pipeline is looking very good, and also they are working on the CNG side of the market, which is extremely doing well. So our topic from the passenger vehicle side is the Maruti, and I think some auto ancillaries are also looking good. For example, the companies in the maybe battery segment, or companies like Bosch India. These are the companies which we are looking at.
All right. Let's begin with our questions today. So first we have Mr. Anil Dahifale. He's asking about MGL that's priced at 900. Should he sell or hold? It got an upgrade today from Jefferies, I guess, and on the earnings outlook. So, Saurabh, what do you think? Should the Anil hold or sell the share, or on the fundamentals?
See, if he is looking for the short term, it is very difficult to take a call. But from the long term perspective, I think things are placed good for the company. On the operation side, we believe that the company is expected to put up a good show in the next 3 4 months, 3 4 quarters. So from the long term perspective, it will remain a hold, but from the short term perspective, I think it is better to exit.
What about the technicals then? What are the views on the charts on MGL?
Yeah, actually, we have seen a phenomenal rally of around 8%, and the charts are looking very positive. If you see the average deal size, which is the total traded volume divided by the number of participants, it is significantly higher than its last 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month average. It is clearly indicating that today we have seen a huge institution buying in this stock, and I believe it is likely that one can see 1200 levels also going forward, as the breakout is very strong, and from here on also 8 9% upside could be seen during this month.
Okay, fair point. We've got a question coming in on WhatsApp, and this is a question that was sent in by Muiz, asking about Picol, whether it's a good investment option for the long term. He hasn't yet taken a position in this. Saurabh, on the fundamentals, do you have a view on this stock?
I think in the pre-call we have seen a lot of run-up because of the it is being seen as the acquisition candidate from the Minda stable. So I think on the valuation side, it is currently at a premium. So in that sense, I would not like to advise a buy on the stock. But yes, of course, if there is a good amount of correction in the stock, then one can look for buy.
Triggers that you would suggest, Jayesh, on the charts for pre-call?
See, on the charts, if you see, it is trading in a consolidation zone, and I believe it is very likely that it will move out of this zone post a significant time correction. So I believe for the next couple of weeks, it would remain in the range of 320 to 340. But as and when if it closes above 340, only then one should try to re-enter it or buy fresh positions. At the moment, if someone is holding it, they can hold, not an issue, but above 340 one can have.
All right. Next question is on email from Rahul. He's talking about Piccadilly Agro that has surged 20% and has hit upper circuit today after it won its whiskey. The Indri won the best whiskey brand in the world. So what are the fundamentals showing on this? Sorry.
I would not be able to comment on this. It's not in coverage.
All right. Jayesh, what do you think are the charts showing? It has in the last 6 months, it has shot up 196%.
Can you name it?
Yeah, it's Piccadilly Agro. It's up 20% today after it won the best whiskey brand in the world.
Actually, even I have never covered.
No problem. Let's in fact take a slightly broader conversation. Janti Agarwal is asking about the auto ank space, Saurabh. We discussed auto just at the start of the show, and you've pointed out what your top picks are. But from the perspective of the next 5 years, and this is quite the long time horizon if you think about the way stocks have moved in the recent past, but what can you suggest from that auto ank universe?
From the auto ancillary, I think Uno Minda looks good, and the companies like Bosch, maybe Excite for that matter. I think these are the companies which can one look to invest for the long term. But one has to keep in mind that the auto industry growth is not certainly a kind of a linear growth. I mean, in this industry, oscillations do come with the kind of growth that economy experiences. Normally, investing straight for 5 years doesn't look good. I mean, you have to review your investment every quarter or so. So that being said, I think few of the stocks that I have just told, I think looks promising for the investment.
Okay, all right. Jayesh, what is your view on Bank Nifty?
Bank Nifty, if you see, overall, one can see that index-wise, be it Nifty or Bank Nifty, the long-short ratio for FII has come down to around 0.35x, which is like significantly lower in terms of if you see it for last 3 4 months. So this is clearly indicating that market is now trying to enter into a zone where it is getting oversold. So whenever if you see the ratio of FII long short ratio of index future around 0.1x, which I believe could be happening during this month, there is a good chance that market would bottom out for the next quarter or so. So I believe from here on also 19,500 on Nifty, 44,350 on Bank Nifty. From here on, one could see around 2% of correction in both the indices for a short duration of time. But that would be it. I believe that will be the good buying opportunity, and one should implement a buy on dip strategy on both Nifty and Bank Nifty. We believe that around 43,500 for Bank Nifty and 19,200 for Nifty would be the ideal bottoming out zone, and one could see markets heading back above the lifetime highs soon
Okay.
during the end of this year.
During the end of the year is what you're saying?
Yeah, during the end of the year, I believe in December expiry, one could see Nifty heading up to 20,500.
All right. So that's the view. Let's take a question from Netra. Then Netra is asking on YouTube about cement stocks and which of them is a good buy from the perspective of the next 6 to 12 months. We've gotten one update, Saurabh. Ultratech Cement has just sent out its business update for the quarter gone by. If you've gone through them, what's your reading of that? And which cement counter would you pick?
Think cement sector looks quite promising for the next 6 months also, considering the fact that the good amount of activity is happening in the real estate and on the infrastructure side from the government side. So I think the top large pick does remains Ultratech Cement, and in the smaller names, I mean, in the bigger names, you can say Ambuja Cement or maybe JK Lakshmi Cement kind of a stock you can look for invest.
All right. Moving on to the next question. This is from Sagar, and he's asking about JSW Infra that got listed at a 20% premium today. So, Jayesh, any views on that?
See, we have with IPO, we have given a subscribe rating for this IPO, and I believe since we don't have any technical chart to see through, but I believe looking at the price volume action today, I think it is bound to head up higher, and I believe 180 could be seen in the next week or so.
Saurabh, did you have a view on the IPO? What's your view on the stock? It's gotten quite the pop at the start. So what should retail investors that did not get allocation during the IPO do?
I think normally retail investors do invest in the IPOs to make quick buck. And in that fashion, I think it is always good to book profit on the listing day, because you have to rotate the same amount of money, considering the fact that not many IPOs are coming these days. But overall, I think on the fundamental side, JSW Infra does look good. Besides that, the major of the revenues comes from the group companies only, and companies, now resorting to more resources. I mean, they are venturing into the new businesses now. Major revenue comes from the group companies, and overall, I think the fundamentals are okay.
I have a question that is coming from Jay, and he's asking about the textile space and specifically about Trident Limited. What he's pointed out, and let me just look at the share price as well, it's hovering around that 37 mark. And he's bought at very close to the current market price, but he's wondering whether or not there is potential in this stock, or would you suggest another one in the textile space, something like a Welspun perhaps? Because some signs are suggesting that some of those inventory level issues, especially for Welspun, are moving to the back of the horizon, right? They've moved past that. Things are likely to look better as we head into the festive season for the US as well. What would you suggest that you do? One with Trident, would you hold on to that, or would you move to something else in the textile space?
It is very difficult to take a call on the textile sector per se, because the demand scenario is still not clear. What will be the demand is likely from the US and the Europe for that matter. And moreover, the cotton prices here in India are higher than in the international markets. There is a lot of competition is also coming up, and moreover, because of the lower rainfall and all, it is expected the yield of cotton will drop significantly, leading to higher prices of cotton, further doing raising problems for the textile industry. I think for some of the reason that I have just said, I think it is better to avoid sector for time.
So would you suggest exiting Trident at this juncture?
I think it is better to exit. I think you can look on the power sector. I think it is a very good blend of the value, dividend yield, and the growth story. I mean, we are quite bullish on the utilities like NTPC, NHPC, SJVN for that matter. I think these stocks do hold potential considering the fact that we are in the higher interest rate regime, and the stocks of sectors are these sectors they are in demand per se. So we are recommending to invest in the stocks from these sectors.
All right. The next question is from Anas Ali. He's asking about MRF Tire. His father bought 100 shares in 2010 at 8,000 per share. But after scaling 1 lakh, he's asking if he should continue holding it. Saurabh, what's your view on the fundamentals on this?
I think from the long-term point of view, I think it is always good to hold any of the promising company. I mean, this company has proved itself, proved its mettle in the peaks and troughs of the cycle. So if one holds for that longer, I think it doesn't matter for him to whether the how the sector auto sector behaves, because at the end of the day, the economy has to grow, the sector has to grow. And for that matter, it is a very good proxy of the sector. So keep on holding on to the stock.
What about you, Jayesh? I know that this is not a counter that sees tremendous volumes, but on the charts, MRF, would you suggest anything?
See, MRF has been a clear outperformer if you see since the last 10 years since I bought it. I believe on the charts at the moment it is looking like there is some marginal hint of profit booking happening, and this could take this stock up to 1,04,000 on odd levels. But from there on, it has got a support of 89-day exponential moving average, which is very strong. And we believe that from here on, in case if someone does a buy on dip strategy around 1,04,000 odd levels, there is a potential upside of 13-14% left in this stock. So one could see a targets of at least 1,20,000.
Okay. Again, a question from the Auto Pack. Mahima is asking about Tata Motors. And I know that, we discussed the Auto Pack as a whole, but this is a specific question. She bought at levels of 550, which is slightly elevated. I think a lot of people got an entry point much lower than that, but she's got as many as 1,000 shares at this price. She's wondering whether to add more at the current levels, considering the kind of push that Tata Motors has on the EV side. Of course, sort of when we think about Tata Motors' consolidated business, we're talking about Jaguar Land Rover that captures a lion's share of the operations, right? So what is the recommendation that you would give on the fundamentals?
I think if you look in the fundamental side, you have rightly said that the major revenue comes from the Land Rover and Jaguar. And, these businesses are doing extremely well for the companies. A lot of new innovation is also coming. And there's a good amount of demand coming for the products. So in that sense, I think the fundamentals look still promising, but the pricing is not that promising. I mean, consider the fact that the valuations have risen quite a bit, and she has bought at a higher price. So it is better to take technical opinion if she has to have this.
All right. Next question is from Shreya, and she's asking about RVNL that recently got a order from Himachal Pradesh government of 1,100 crores, and the share is up about 2%. So, what is your view on the fundamentals for the next 6 to 12 months?
I think on the fundamental side, they have, if you look on the order book side, they have a good amount of very good order book. But the execution is yet to be seen. Earlier, there were some concern with respect to its JV partner, a Russian JV partner. How the execution will materialize for the railway order of worth 27,000 crore of rupees. Recently, in the last 1 year or so, the valuations have also gone stretched, and I think the execution of the order book we'll see the execution in the next maybe 12 or 18 months, and I think the profitability will not be that strong. I think what the market is believing, because largely the order is coming from the either government or the other businesses, where you can enjoy one can enjoy only low, mid or lower margins. So in that sense, I would not recommend to invest fresh money in the RVNL. But yes, if you are holding it, keep on holding it.
Okay, it's interesting. From the wider pack as well, Ircon is another counter, gentleman, that we've been tracking, right? And if I look at the last month or so as well, it's up about 13% or thereabouts. We've got a question on YouTube from Mandar, and he's asking about Ircon. He's not mentioned what price he's holding at, but he's asking for both a technical as well as a fundamental view. I'll take a technical view first. Jayesh, is a stock that is more than doubled in the year to date so far, up 13% just over the last month. Would you hold or would you exit?
Yeah, definitely. See, in bull market, this is how stocks get a parabolic move. So this is into a parabola kind of a zone wherein one could see higher returns going forward as well. So I believe if someone is holding, he must hold it up to 170, 175 rupees. So another 30 rupees upside is seen.
All right.
Let's also get a fundamental view on the stock. What's the view on Ircon? Saurabh?
I think again the order book looks good, but the valuation has gone stretched, and it is very difficult to advise anyone to invest fresh money. But yes, if you are holding it, I think it is better to book profits in a staggered manner.
All right. Next question is from Arshit. He's saying that his father likes government stocks too much. He's talking about PSU stocks. So, should he increase exposure to such stocks? So, what is your view on this? He's not asking about any specific stock here.
I think we like the PSU bank space, considering the valuation low on the valuation. For example, our top picks remains Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, Union Bank. I think this is the space which offers good amount of growth, and the valuation comfort is also there. Dividend yield play is also there. So I think if you invest money in this space for a year, I think it is you can make a good amount of profit.
Okay. Anything on the charts then, Jayesh, on the PSU space? And I know that Saurabh has spoken specifically about PSU banks, but then from the broader space, if you have a view?
Yeah, definitely. A few stocks like NMDC, NTPC, Power Grid have been among our top picks, and we have been recommending this to our clients. But broadly, I would like to recommend to invest into a PSU ETF, which is kind of a basket of all these companies which we have been mentioning. So one can buy CPSE or Bharat 22 ETF or something like that, which is like a combination of all the stock. Then the investor doesn't have to worry about picking up individual stock.
All right. Next question is from Kashyap, and he's asking about Kotak and ICICI at current levels, and he wants to hold for long term for more than about 2 years. So, what's your view on the fundamentals for the longer term on Kotak and ICICI?
I think both banks does have a very strong fundamentals, and especially the Kotak is also low on the valuation side. I think the change in the management will happen in next 3 to 6 months, and I think it is a thing which is bearing on the stock to my mind per se. If you look on the balance sheet side, the kind of growth Kotak is seeing, it is phenomenal. Same with the ICICI Bank, both have extremely good balance sheet with the low NPAs and the higher growth on the deposit and the lending side. So I think both stocks make sense to invest for the long term.
Okay, fair point. We've got a few viewers that are asking about Bitcoin. Unfortunately, this is an equity show and we focus on stock related questions. So do send them in. We've got Vipul who's asking about Larsen & Toubro, which he's purchased at an average price of 1,100. He's asking whether to book profits or to hold. What's the view, Saurabh, on the fundamentals?
I think my advice would be to maybe you can book profit partially 20-25%, or and my advice would be keep on holding it. Consider the fact that the capital goods space is yet to see more good days going forward, and considering the fact that it's a very good order book, and now they are winning good orders from the overseas markets also, especially because of the rise in the crude prices, and here in India also things are looking quite optimistic. So in that sense, I think book partial profits and keep on holding rest of the stock.
Okay, so partial profits. Let me take that as a cue for you, Jayesh. What level would be a good one to consider if you think that you need to book some profits in Larsen & Toubro?
ideally, if you analyze the Elliott wave theory, the resistance for the stock comes around 3200 ish. So, according to us, around 3200, one can try to partially book the stock if it is needed. But overall, if you see the entire capital goods space, infrastructure space is bound to rally further. So I believe one should hold and ride this tide and not book
All
profits
right.
at the moment.
Gentlemen, let me just take this last opportunity to ask both of you what your top picks are. And, we've discussed a specific space and we've asked you specific questions. But Jayesh, from what you're seeing on the charts today and for the shorter period, what are your top picks looking at the screen today?
In infrastructure space, if you see, we like Ashoka. It is hovering around 120-ish levels, and we have recommended it few days back to our clients around 110. We believe this is a counter wherein there is a humongous amount of long addition that has been seen throughout the last 1-2 months, and this consolidation breakout will lead this stock higher up to 148, 150 levels as well, which is like 20-25% upside during the next couple of months. So this is our high conviction bet.
Ashoka, Bitcoin currently trading at 122. Saurabh, I know that it's a tough question to ask. Despite the kind of correction that we can see, if you can call it that, with the Nifty 50 at around 19,500, we're still within touching distance of all-time highs. And we're still seeing quite a bit of buying in the broader markets. With that in mind, what are your top picks?
I think we have discussed some of the topics in the show. For example, we are quite bullish on the utilities, PSU banks. In the PSU space, we like Canara Bank, Bank Baroda, Union Bank. In the utilities, we like PSUs like NTPC, NHPC, SJB. And in the capital goods space, we like Glass and Pro. For that matter, in the infrastructure space, I think HG Infra makes sense to invest in. These are some of the stocks. Apart from this, I think hotel sector also looks good for the next year or so. So, for example, Chalet or Lemon Tree Indian Hotel makes sense to invest.
That last point particularly is an interesting one, with hotel prices going up. Gentlemen, Saurabh as well as Jayesh, thank you so much for joining in, for giving us all of those answers. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. And viewers, hopefully some of the answers that you've gotten on this show have benefited you. Do let us know what you think about this particular conversation, and stay tuned. There's lots more coming up on BQ Prime. We'll be live tomorrow at 11:30 to take all of your questions. Thanks so much for watching.